Hi, my name is Iannielli, and I guess you know me by now. Uh, no introductions are necessary, but I am male to female, transgender. And I was wondering if I was in front of a lecture hall, in a lecture hall, in front of a group of people, how I would present a speech to the group. Uh, it's crossed my mind on many occasions because I'm trying to be an activist and present my feelings on my own personal experiences in being transgender, being a parent of an autistic child, going through a male to female transition at an advanced stage, being committed to my family, my wife, and my son, obviously, and trying to live a normal, quote unquote, life. Uh, for most transgender individuals, it's very difficult to blend into society and to conform to the standards that we all learn as we grow. Um, one important matter that we all have to realize is that we're not all the same. We're not all built into a mold. We have to kind of realize that we're all individuals and we all have our own thoughts, feelings, ideas, emotions. And I think the the hardest part for people in general to grasp in the case of someone who is gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender is the lifestyle. They obviously have a hard time accepting that. First of all, many people, I'm not saying everyone, but a good majority of people are somewhat ignorant when when it comes to matters within the LGBT community. I think the lesbian, gays, and bisexual individuals have more experience now in getting their uh, lifestyles understood by the general public and society. There are still many issues and problems that have to be addressed within that segment of the LGBT community. However, the one that has the hardest uh, uh, dealings with the society and people in general is the transgender community. I think of all of the uh, individuals within that LGBT community, the transgender group is probably the most difficult to understand by the common person and society as a whole. Now, you ask me why. I don't really know the answer to that. I really don't. However, I can guess that people have a hard time conceptualizing gender, and they fall into this belief that there are stereotypes. They are brought up to believe, as we were as well, that boys are supposed to be strong, rough and tumble, not show emotion, dare not play with dolls, uh, and they shouldn't like colors that are feminine, like pink. blue and those kind of colors. And they are supposed to like cars and play football and be tough and not cry. And girls on the other side are supposed to be extremely feminine, pretty, put on makeup, wear dresses, play with dolls. Uh, and that's the way we were brought up. Now, is that the right way to uh, identify boys, girls like that? What happens to the segment of people or kids that fall in between that? We don't live in a perfect world. You know, there are boys here, right? And there are girls here. But what happens here? Isn't it possible that there may be a boy who doesn't want to be manly or macho or masculine, who wants to show their femininity, wants to wear a dress, wants to play with dolls, wants to cry and express their emotions? Is that very hard to understand? And what about the other aspect with girls? Is it that hard to understand that there may be girls out there that may not want to wear a dress, may not want to have a doll? They might want to have a dump truck or a racing car, or, one of those remote control cars. While the boy who identifies as a girl wants a doll and to wear a dress, and the girl who identifies as a boy wants to play football or wear sweatshirts, no dresses. You know, what is the problem with that? That's legitimate, you know? And it goes way beyond being a tomboy or a sissy. No, we're not talking about that. That's possible, And who knows? Boys who identify as feminine are labeled as sissies, and girls that are identify as masculine are labeled as tomboys. And that's what we are known and grown to learn and be accustomed to. And that's just part of growing up. However, the problem with that is that for the most part, girls who are young and are considered tomboys eventually outgrow that stage in their life. And they then blossom into young womanhood when they have their menstruation cycle and go through puberty. And they're girls. And the same with some boys that may be labeled sissy growing up, who eventually go through puberty and they have their mustache and the hair on the face and eventually get their driver's license and start to date girls. And then they outgrow that. But what happens to the kids in between that never outgrow that? That they're actually identified as opposite to the sex they're born into. Now that's the issue. And that is what I don't understand. Why people in general and society as a whole don't grasp that idea. Is it that much of a difficult concept to grasp? For me personally, I don't think it is. But I'm talking from a different perspective because I am transgender. I am male to female transgender. And I knew it at a young age. I knew when I was a 3-year-old that I preferred to wear dresses and I wanted to have a doll. But I didn't get to have that. And I had to live within the parameters that I was raised. I had tons of Matchbox cars, Hot Wheels, G.I. Joe dolls. That was the only kind of dolls that I ever got. No Barbie dolls, but the G.I. Joe dolls. No Easy Bake Ovens. no dresses. No, no, no way. I had to hide that, and I had to live in secret and inner struggle and pain. Now, is it really fair that children growing up have to live in secrecy and hide their true selves? Is it fair that society as a whole demands that these children that fall in between have to hide who they truly are and struggle? Is that fair? Fair? I don't think so. So, what can we do to improve what we know as people to understand what these kids and eventually young adults have to deal with? How can we make it where life will evolve with these young people, and hopefully they'll come to terms with who they feel they are and make difficult choices, but hopefully will come to know that whatever choices they make, that they're doing it based on how they feel and what's important to them, and not what society or people tell them. You know, there's a lot of tragedy with transgenders in uh, in current times. You hear about suicides of young kids. Now, young teenagers in general have a high. They're prone to suicide because of bullying, coming of age, and having struggles and difficulties with their emotions. And transgenders within that group of teens have an even higher risk of suicide. And young adults within that transgender grouping also. Uh, there has to be a way that we can communicate and be supportive to people who don't fall within the parameters of normality. You know, you can't just say there's a boy and there's a girl. You just can't. Boys have girl identities also, and girls have boy identities. It's not uncommon. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. You don't need a PhD in psychology or sexual behavioral identity to know that there is issues with gender struggle and gender identity. Now, in its simplest terms, transgender is where someone who is born one sex identifies as the opposite sex or gender. So, simplistically, I was born a boy, a male with male parts. However, I've always identified as a girl, and I always felt that I was different. My heart told me I was a girl, but my body betrayed me. However, I have lots of joys in my life as a male. I'm married. I am married. I'm a dad. I have a son. And that's wonderful. And I am overjoyed. And you cannot take that away from me. I will always be a dad, a father. But you can't take away the transgender within my soul either. You can't just erase it away. It doesn't go away. It's there. It's born within. you can try to go for, I guess they call it conversion therapy, where they try to convince you that you're not who you believe you truly are. And I believe that that is not uh, ethical. And I think that anyone who practices that kind of therapy should have their licenses revoked. First of all, a young transgender girl by the name of Leela Alcorn was forced into conversion therapy by her family. And you know what happened to this poor girl? She committed suicide. Is that the answer? No, it is not the answer. I believe that we have to realize that people are people no matter what. Whether you're gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, straight, whatever. You are what you are, and that will never change. I fought with all my heart and soul to stay what I believed I should have been. I was born a male, and I tried my best to conform to that based on society. I went and did my schooling, got my education in a technical field in engineering, worked in that field, mechanical engineering. Then I went back to school and obtained an accounting degree and got my CPA. And then I prepared to hopefully meet a girl, get married, and then raise a family. I did the things that I was meant to do, what I wanted to do. But inside of me was a girl trapped, and I couldn't express that. I couldn't share that to anyone. I had to live in pain and secrecy. Do you know what that feels like? It sucks. Do you know what it's like to cross-dress where you put your girl clothes underneath your boy clothes? Do you know what it's like to live in the closet? Do you know what it's like to be afraid every day that somebody's going to find out about you? Why do you think there are so many transgender suicides? Because we're not accepted by society. I lost my job because I came out as transgender. And I have a wife and a son to take care of, and a house, and a mortgage, and bills to pay. But I lost my livelihood because I'm expressing my true self. Is that right? Should society be proud of itself because it displaces people like me? Does it make the world better? We are good people. We have the right to live our life and be happy. I ask and plead with you as a whole for understanding and compassion. That's all I ask for. I'm not asking for miracles. I'm just asking that you open up your heart and believe and accept people for who they are and not judge them. We don't judge people. We just want to live our lives and be happy and accepted and be able to contribute. We all have things to live for and do. We're all wonderful people. I just pray that we will find a way to get this out there so we are accepted. I'll make a speech again, but this is Emily. Farewell. Bye.